Hey y'all. Happy Thursday. Ooh, this light is kind of glaring in my eyes. Hold on for a minute. Hey y'all. This light. Happy Thursday. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Hopefully it is. Hold on while I share this with a couple people, okay? Hang on. Let me share this real quick. I think that's a little bit better. Hopefully it is. All right. Hold on while I share this. Okay. Hang on. So, how y'all doing this week? We made it through last week. We are almost to the end of the year. Lots going on. And I wanted to just come on and hop on real quick and just chat with you guys based off of an experience I had last week. So hang on, let me see people coming in. Yes. All right. Hey y'all, drop me some comments, give me some hearts. Let me know who hanging out with me on this Thursday night. So, hey, beautiful people. It's your girl, Gwendolyn, here from your virtual admin expert. And welcome to Leading Behind the Scene, your weekly dose of inspiration to equip you to excel in business and life. Real quick, I want to share with you about the Mastering Your Success Mastermind for women CEOs. The Mastering Your Success Mastermind is for women entrepreneurs who have been in business less than 5 years and they are looking for clarity around their next steps to crush their goals. They're looking for some tools and strategies on how to systematically grow their business. They need some accountability to keep them from procrastinating because they know they need to be working on some things. And they're looking for opportunities to brainstorm with a seasoned coach. And so if that sounds like something you have been looking for, praying for, then I am talking to you. And this small group mastermind and implementation incubator was created for women just like you. So I encourage you to go to masteringyoursuccessmastermind.com and get your application in for consideration. And I will have a special offer for you coming up for this Black Friday. So stay tuned. So tonight I want to talk to my business owners, especially my professional service providers, my coaches, my consultants, all the beautiful service providers about preparing for crisis and those unexpected things that might happen in your business, right? So why am I talking about this now, right? One, because we're planning for 21. So we may as well make this part of our planning process. But about a week and a half ago, my beautiful grandson, QJ, y'all know QJ. And for those who may be tuning in for the first time, QJ is my 2-year-old grandson who I just absolutely adore. And me and him always have some sort of shenanigans going on all the time, right? Like he is a real live character. You might even hear him in the background on occasion, sometimes on one of these lives. But about a week and a half ago, QJ was sick and he wasn't feeling well. And as usual, when he's not feeling well, he wants to be under his Gigi, right? And so we all know when you're sick, you either want to be under your Gigi or you want to be under your mommy. That's just how it goes when you're not feeling well. You either want your mama or your grandmama. And so this particular time, for whatever reason, QJ wanted to be under his Gigi. And so naturally, of course, his little germs passed along over to me. I was fine for a few days. But then last week, I started not feeling very well at all. And the headaches were getting worse. Hey, looks like my uncle is watching. My cousin is watching. Hey, y'all. And so my headaches were getting worse. I couldn't sleep. I was having a hard time just getting comfortable. And not to mention, I had this horrible cough, right? Where one of my clients said, it basically sounds like you are coughing up a lung. So I decided after my heart rate started increasing like more than it should have, that I should probably go get checked out. Shout out to Fitbit, because that heart rate monitor on that Fitbit was everything. So Fitbit, y'all need to hit me up for a brand deal, okay? But I decided to take a quick trip to the ER. And so I figured, I'll go in, I'll make sure everything is good, and then I should be home, back by the end of the day. Well, that didn't happen. I didn't get home until 3 days later because it was a lot more going on than I realized. And I will spare y'all all the details, but let's just say it was things that needed me to be not worried about work, even though I wanted to, and be fully focused on advocating for myself, because y'all know they're not letting visitors in these hospitals these days. So I had to be fully present to advocate for myself and just make sure that my health was good. So thankfully, my assistant, shout out to India, jumped right in and started notifying the team what was going on, following up to make sure that, they were still executing on their tasks. She reached out to some clients and podcast guests who were on my schedule for that particular day and that week and got them rescheduled for new time slots. She kept me up to date with quick summary chats because she knew I was going to be thinking about what was going on anyway. So she just kept me informed. And then the other members of my team continued to manage their tasks flawlessly, taking care of our clients' social media, making sure their research projects were getting scheduled and, going as planned, moving videos to new platforms, just all the things that happen behind the scenes. So I'm so grateful that I had them, right? Because otherwise appointments would have been missed with no communication going out. So I would have looked like a real total flaky. Social media posts wouldn't have been getting executed, research wouldn't have been done, and a host of other things, that we had going on the back end would not have been attended to, right? So this got me to thinking, wow, yeah, we did a really great job, managing that particular crisis and that particular unexpected event. But how can we do better the next time, right? And so once I got back into the office a week later, I made some notes on the things that we could potentially tweak and tighten up to make sure clients continue to be serviced in the best way possible. Because I am super clear that me and my team showing up is directly tied to my client's business and their success. And I don't ever want to do anything that would jeopardize the operations of their business. And if 2020 has taught us nothing else, it has taught us that we need to be constantly be thinking of how to prepare, how to plan, and how to pivot for the unexpected. So I wanted to just share a couple of tips with you tonight, and then I'll share some more next week about creating your business crisis management plan. So tonight, let's look at these three things, okay? We're gonna look at assessing the risk. We're going to look at determining the impact of those risks. And then we're going to look at talking about identifying the contingencies, right? But before we do that, let's make sure that we are super clear on what a business crisis is, right? So a business crisis is an event, any event that has the potential to threaten the success or the health of your business by either, tarnishing your reputation, damaging your operations, negatively impacting your finances, harming your employees, harming your clients, all the things. So that is kind of what a business crisis is. And so this can be caused by something, internally or externally. Externally would be something like the pandemic. Internally would be something like me getting sick and not being able to be in the office and do, client stuff, right? So depending on the severity of a business crisis, it's important to be prepared to manage it with a plan so that a plan that you and your team create prior to it actually occurring, because it's not going to help you if it occurs and you didn't have a plan in place. That doesn't do anybody any good. So that means crisis management is simply the process of preparing for and managing these disruptive and unexpected emergency situations that could affect your business, your clients, your customers, your team, and your coins, your revenue, your money. So you want to plan for that. So how do we get started, right? And it's really important, some people say, is this important for online business providers? Is this important, for me where, it's just me and I just do these things? I would say absolutely, because life happens to everybody. You are not exempt from life happening to you. And so I would say it would be better to be prepared than not be prepared for it. So the first thing you want to do is assess your risk. That's the first step. And this part of identifying risk actually helps you identify what are the potential things, what are the issues, what are the crises, what are the unexpected events that would disrupt my business operations and my processes. This, could be things like what happens if you get sick for longer than a day or two, or have to be hospitalized. I'm just saying, it happens. We're going to knock on wood that it doesn't happen to you, but it happens. But what happens if a key member of your team just leaves suddenly? What happens if your website gets hacked? What happens if your largest client decides to end their service? What if a team member does something unethical? What if COVID-19 hits and you have to change your entire operating structure? What if the electricity goes out for longer than a day? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the things, right? I'm sure y'all get it. So the first thing is to work with your team and maybe even survey your clients to get a good idea of what those risks and threats are that could impact your business negatively or impact the operations of your business. So that's number one. Number two is determine the business impact for each of those areas that you identified. So for each risk you identified, now you want to say, what is the impact of that particular crisis happening in my business? Does it create customer dissatisfaction? Or worse, does it create customer attrition where your customers start leaving? Does it damage your reputation? Do you lose sales? Do you lose income? Does it make your expenses go up? And for my professional service providers like accountants and attorneys, are there any fees or regulatory things that might happen or incur that, relate to your business? So this is a super, super important step that you need to take, because it's going to help you look at every angle of the risk or the threat. And it's also going to help you to show your team and your clients the value of why you're creating the plan in the first place. So super important. So number one, assess your risk. Number two, determine the business impact for each of those risks identified. And then number three is going to be identify the contingencies. So now that you've determined what the risks are, how they can impact your business, you want to start thinking about what are the actions that you need to take to respond effectively and appropriately to each one of those, right? So think about what are the steps that are required to resolve the issue. What are the resources that you're going to need? How can your team help you? And what specifically is their role in that, right? So for example, in the example I shared with you earlier about my illness and my hospitalization, my assistant was the primary activator of that plan. She was the lead on communicating with the team and the clients on what was happening. She informed the team, so that they were aware of what was happening, but then also empowered them to step up and continue servicing our clients at a high level. And then she also kept me informed. So she was kind of that activator of the whole process and making sure that things continued to go smoothly until I was able to kind of get back on board and get back in position. So that is very critical. So those are your three tips. Again, number one is you want to assess the risks. Number two, you want to determine the business impact for each of those risks that you identified. And then number three, you want to identify the contingencies. So I hope that this has been extremely helpful. These are your three tips for tonight. And I hope it's giving you something to think about and some actionable steps that you can start to take to create your own business crisis plan, right? So that's it for tonight, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that some of these tips were helpful and that you can now go back and start thinking about how to create your own plan. I would love it if you would hit the like button, hit the love button, share it with anybody else that you think needs to hear this, all the entrepreneurs that you're connected to. And then if you have any questions or tips or concerns, experiences, or whatever, leave them in the comments for me because I do go back and look at those. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Your Admin Expert, and subscribe to the email list on the website at yourvirtualadminexpert.com for even more tips, tools, and strategies. And thank you for tuning in. And I will see you next week for another